We're live.
Excellent. All right, Nancy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Tech Tuesday today, Tuesday, October 6th. We have a great topic for you today, as every week. We will be discussing home study and learning outside of class. And as every week, I am here alongside Darrell Jackson, who is our instructional technology coordinator for Paramount Unified School District, myself, instructional technology specialist. My name is Nancy Rivas. And we have very special guests today joining us. Also from our district, we have Osiris Pardo, and she is our avid curriculum specialist. And we have a former student joining us today who will be sharing some of her experiences, Leilani Pacheco. So we have a very packed agenda today, and we are very happy that you are here with us. Hoy, el tema de hoy va a ser de estudio en la casa y cómo el aprendizaje puede continuar fuera de la clase. Y tenemos, como cada semana, tenemos al señor Darrell Jackson con nosotros, que es el coordinador de tecnología instructiva. Yo soy Nancy Rivas, especialista de tecnología instructiva. Y también tenemos a Osiris Pardo, que es una especialista en el área de AVID, que vamos a hablar un poquito acerca de lo que significa eso. Y también tenemos una estudiante que ya es graduada del distrito y va a estar hablando acerca de sus experiencias. Su nombre es Leilani Pacheco y estamos muy contentos que están con nosotros ustedes. Darrell, do you want to share anything?
Oh, yeah. Well, I just wanted to say that one of the biggest joys, I guess, that I feel like that we have is being able to share friends. And so it's just such a pleasure to have Osiris and Leilani here with us. And I know that this is just going to be one of the best. So thanks for tuning in. I know that this is going to be just a fantastic session. So thank you for joining us.
Gracias, señor Jackson está dando las gracias por estar aquí con nosotros y sabemos que va a ser una sesión magnífica como cada semana. Okay, so I'm going to go over the agenda more specific today. So as I mentioned earlier, the topic for today is home study and learning outside of the class. And our presenters, we have them here listed one more time. And if you want to follow along with the presentation, it is actually in the description area of this YouTube video. And also if you have any questions or comments, the form is also linked in that description area, as well as on the district website, which Darrell will point out in a little bit how you can get to that form again. So for today, we are going to be covering study skills for students, guiding student learning after hours. So how can that learning continue to happen when the class session is over? And different environments for learning. How can we ensure that the environment caters to that learning so that it can continue successfully? Para hoy vamos a estar hablando acerca de diferentes estrategias para el estudio, para los estudiantes y cómo uno puede guiar a los estudiantes después de la hora de clase para que el aprendizaje continúe en casa. Y también vamos a estar hablando acerca de cómo puede uno hacer que el hogar sea y encomie el aprendizaje que continúe. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Ms. Osiris Pardo, who's going to talk a little bit about AVID and what that means. Ahora vamos a continuar con la señora Osiris Pardo, que va a hablar acerca de AVID y lo que significa.
Hey, Nancy, do you mind, is it okay if I jumped in here and kind of introduced where we can, where visitors can actually comment and stuff?
Oh, yes, sorry about that. Let me stop sharing so you can go ahead and share. Vamos a mostrar cómo es que usted puede comentar también durante esta sesión. El señor Jackson va a demostrar por el sitio de internet.
Thanks, Nancy. And I just wanted to just very, very briefly remind everyone that if they're here at the website, that you're actually able to go in this location that we have linked here called Parent Education.
Si usted va al sitio de internet, va a hacer clic en la pestaña que dice Padres y Familias y va a hacer otro clic en Educación de Padres.
Okay, and so once you click in the Parent Education, as most of you, I'm assuming, then you get to this page here. And I just wanted to remind you of some of the places where you can go to provide your own input and your feedback, which we completely value, and we totally thank you for that. But also, if you want to see the presentation slides, there's a link here where you can actually click and have the slides opened up for you to review. And also, in addition to that, you can watch some of the resources that are included as as a YouTube video. So that's where you can access all the things, not only for this week, but for also historically, you can go through all the sessions as they're recorded here for each one of them. And this is number 6. This is really great. So anyways, thanks for that. I'm going to stop sharing. And
wait, don't stop. I'm going to translate that. Cuando llegue a esta página, usted puede ver los recursos para esta sesión. Tenemos la presentación aquí, los enlaces para la presentación. También vamos a tener un video que se va a enlazar a YouTube. Tenemos ese enlace ahí. Y también tenemos información de las sesiones pasadas. Si usted quiere hacer clic en las fechas, puede ver los videos y también los diferentes recursos para esas sesiones.
Awesome. Thanks, Nancy. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right, so hello everybody, good evening. Again, my name is Ms. Pardo and I am the AVID Curriculum Specialist for the district. Buenas tardes familias y estudiantes, mi nombre es la maestra Pardo, aquí para servirles. Y yo estoy encargada del programa de AVID al nivel del distrito. Y estoy muy feliz de poder estar con ustedes en esta noche para platicarles de unas estrategias que van a ayudar a sus estudiantes en la casa. So I'm very excited to be here today to share with you some amazing strategies that, yes, were learned in the AVID program, but really can be applied to all our students district-wide. And we have with us today a very special guest that was mentioned earlier, Ms. Leilani Pacheco. Woo, Leilani, she's awesome. One of our former students that's going to, kind of give that witness testimony as to like how awesome the strategy is. And we're really excited that she's here today. Ahora vamos a tener también conmigo una estudiante que se acaba de graduar el semestre pasado y estoy bien emocionada porque ella nos va a contar sobre esa estrategia que les vamos a enseñar ahora, cómo le ayudó a ella como una estudiante aquí en Paramount y cómo le sigue ayudando como una estudiante universitaria. So, Leilani, can you say hi to our families in Paramount and let us know like where you're at right now and what you're studying in college?
Hi, everyone. My name is Leilani Pacheco. I am a first-time four-year college student, first generation as well, at Cal State Dominguez Hills, studying biology. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Leilani Pacheco. Soy generación primera en mi familia y estoy estudiando biología en la Universidad de Cal State Dominguez Hills.
Well, thank you so much, Leilani, for being here with us today. You're definitely the highlight of today's meeting and today's webinar and talking to our families. And just really quickly, I want to share with everybody AVID's mission and why it is that we adopted AVID as a system-wide program for our schools in elementary, in middle school, and high school. Y muy rápidamente les quiero compartir con ustedes el por qué adoptamos el sistema de AVID para ayudar a nuestros estudiantes en las escuelas primarias y las escuelas secundarias y también en la high school con nuestros estudiantes que están en los grados de 9 al 12. As you can see here, AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. And the mission for AVID is very important. Leilani, can you read the mission, the AVID's mission for the group, please?
Let me do that. AVID's mission is to close the opportunity gap by preparing all students for college readiness and success in global society.
Thank you. And in Spanish, la misión de AVID es queremos cerrar las huecas de oportunidad que existen, ¿verdad? A veces hay huecas y muchas veces esas huecas son en cómo aprendemos. Entonces, el propósito de AVID es realmente preparar a nuestros estudiantes para que puedan continuar o seguir en su educación y también más importante que eso, de que sobresalgan, que salgan adelante en una sociedad global, que se sepan sacar adelante sus ideas y sepan contribuir. Entonces, el programa de AVID nos ha estado beneficiando mucho. So I just want to thank you for sharing that, Leilani. You know, AVID's mission is really to close that opportunity gap. We know that there is a gap sometimes in the way we learn as individuals. And, you know, AVID does a tremendous job in really helping bridge that gap and helping us understand those strategies that not only help us for college readiness, but future ready skills. Because what we learn in terms of these strategies also helps us not just with college, but with career choices as well. So thank you. And we're going to go ahead and move along. Vamos a continuar con la presentación. So the strategy that we want to highlight today, that is an amazing study skill that we have been actually showcasing throughout our district, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school, it's focused note-taking. La estrategia que queremos enfocarnos ahora tiene que ver con tomando notas significantes. Y esta estrategia realmente lo estamos utilizando mucho en todos los niveles de estudio, en las primarias, en las secundarias y en la preparatoria. Y tomando notas es algo muy usual, lo hacemos al diario en diferentes formas y es algo que queremos que nuestros estudiantes realmente puedan usar también para sobresalir y sacar adelante sus calificaciones y tomar en cuenta las cosas importantes que están aprendiendo en cada clase. So, focused note-taking really is something that we do on a daily basis, right? We take notes on a lot of different things. Sometimes we take notes on our grocery list, right? Or we take notes, more importantly, we want to make sure that our students are taking notes in their classes. And so notes come in different forms and fashions. All our students throughout the district have been, are being exposed to different forms of notes, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school. But really the important thing that I want everyone to understand is that what we're teaching are the 5 phases of focused note-taking. Entonces, una de las cosas que quiero realmente que quede en la mente de todos es que aunque todos tenemos diferentes formas de tomar notas, ¿verdad? Dependiendo de nuestro desarrollo, nuestro nivel en los diferentes grados que están los estudiantes, pero realmente hay 5 fases en tomar notas que nos gustaría que supieran los papás para que nos pudieran ayudar en la casa. So really those 5 focused note-taking phases is something that we'd love our parents to be aware of so that you continue to support that in the household. And here we have a very special, you can see here, we have a very special example, and it's from our own Miss Leilani Pacheco. Y aquí tenemos un ejemplo muy especial, y este ejemplo es de nuestra propia estudiante, ¿verdad? Nuestra propia señorita Pacheco. Y voy a dejar que ella nos platique un poquito más sobre cómo le ha ayudado esta estrategia a ella como estudiante aquí y como estudiante universitaria. So right now, Leilani, I'd like for you to share with our families, how has focused note-taking helped you as a student while you were here in Paramount with us all these years? And how is it continuing to help you now that you're in college?
I want to begin by saying that it was not an easy thing to do at first. When my teachers even brought it up, just the thought of taking notes was very like, I didn't look forward to it. But as I got to learn different strategies on circling and underlining and highlighting, that was a great part of it because I'm a visual learner. So being able to go back and highlight those main ideas, underline the words I didn't understand, circle key points was very helpful. So in high school, what I would do was I would just go off of the PowerPoint or whatever notes we were taking and just write everything that I thought was important down. Then I would go back and circle what I thought was important. I would highlight those main ideas. I would kind of also use the tree maps, or like I have on my example, a brace map, just to make it a little more organized so I can go back and reference, okay, so this is what we were talking about then, and that's kind of where the color coding came in. Like I said, I was a visual learner, so being able to see, in my example, the green, I always refer to places. The yellow is something that I go back to specific topics. But overall, this just helps me stay more organized and not just scramble through the notes. Whereas if I just had written everything down, I wouldn't know what I was learning. But the color coding and being able to underline and label the chapters and the modules, it just helped me stay more organized, and it helped me comprehend what specifically I was learning. Quiero comenzar en principio decir que no fue algo fácil para mí aprender cómo a tomar los apuntes así como lo he hecho ahorita. Cuando mis maestros me empezaron a decir que cómo se toman los apuntes de la manera correcta, me daba, no tenía muchas ganas, pero cuando empecé a usar plumas de color, empecé a usar los highlighters de color, fue algo para mantenerme más organizada, pero también aprender cómo de lo que estoy aprendiendo, para comprender de lo que estoy aprendiendo. Y en mi ejemplo uso los colores para representar el tema, el capítulo de que estoy aprendiendo de un lugar específico, y esto es lo que me ha ayudado para si tengo que estudiar para algún examen. También me ayuda, ok, en el examen va a cubrir sobre X cosa, y en la pluma roja puedo estar hablando de lo que va a cubrir el examen, así que esto también me ha ayudado a mantenerme más organizada y se me ha hecho un poco más fácil y claro para referenciarme a mis apuntes.
Thank you, Leilani. And I see here that this is it with Professor Markey? I see that you have right there. So you're currently still using it, right? You're still using your focus note-taking strategies.
Yes, that is correct. Up to this day, I still use the same tips that my teachers have taught me from high school. And I didn't think I would use it after high school. I thought college was going to be a whole different ballgame, but it's the same concept. You're still taking notes, you're still highlighting and underlining. And if anything, I use it even more because the material, we receive more material and more notes and things like that. So if anything, it's became 10 times more beneficial to me. Ahora que estoy en la universidad, también se me hace más me beneficia más esto, porque en la preparatoria no lo usaba tanto como ahorita en la universidad. Los profesores nos dan más material y el trabajo es un poquito más, pero como uso esos consejos que me enseñaron mis maestros, me ha ayudado a mantenerme más organizada y me ayudan más cuando quiero estudiar o repasar o prepararme para un examen.
Thank you, Leilani. Yeah, so as we can see, there is a huge long-term benefit to really owning the strategy. Not only is it helping our students learn currently, but it's a strategy that it's not just a one and done deal, right? You don't just do focus note taking, in 3rd grade or 7th grade. You do focus note taking throughout as a student, and you continue to use it as you move ahead in your life, especially as you're moving ahead with higher education and careers and every day. Entonces, lo que nos acaba de demostrar Leilani es que esta es una estrategia que no solamente se va a usar en un año, ¿verdad? Es una estrategia que vamos a usar todos los años mientras nos estamos desarrollando como estudiantes, cuando seguimos adelante en nuestras metas escolares en la universidad, nuestras metas en nuestras carreras, en nuestros días, vidas del diario. Es una estrategia que podemos aplicar y que nos da mucho beneficio para comprender y sacar adelante ciertos temas y ciertos aprendizajes. So we're going to go ahead now. We're going to kind of dive deep a little bit more into those 5 phases of focus note taking. So as you can see here, we have phase 1, which is take notes. Phase 2, process notes. Phase 3, connect your thinking. Phase 4, summarize and reflect. And phase 5, applying what you're learning. Entonces tenemos las 5 fases que vamos a repasar ahorita para que ustedes sepan qué es lo que tienen que hacer sus estudiantes. En primer lugar, la primera fase es que tienen que tomar las notas, aunque se les haga difícil, y como dijo la señorita Pacheco, que a veces, no quiero, se sienten algo fastidiosos, lo tienen que hacer, tomar esas notas. Segunda fase es procesar las notas. La tercera fase es conectar nuestros pensamientos, relacionarlas. La cuarta fase es un resumen y reflexionar sobre lo que hemos escrito en nuestras notas. Y al final, La quinta fase sería aplicar nuestro aprendizaje. ¿Qué es lo que aprendimos de las notas y aplicarlo en proyectos, aplicarlo en los exámenes que nos presentan los maestros en las diferentes clases? So we're going to move on. And here you get a little bit more, let me go ahead and just escape a little bit. Here you get a little bit more detailed information as to how those 5 phases of focus note-taking look like. So one thing that I really want to mention is in the 5 phases of focus note-taking, in the first phase, it can look like anything, really. Like what's most valuable here is that it has to be meaningful to the student. It has to make sense to the student because it's their learning tool. In some cases, the teacher will direct and say, hey, I want you to use a thinking map to take your notes, or I want you to use a 2-column notes or T-chart or a Venn diagram, however, they may pose that, and that's fine. But as the students get older and they start taking more ownership of what they write down, they have the freedom to take the notes in however format they'd like. Entonces, una de las cosas que quiero resaltar aquí es que en tomando las notas lo puede hacer en cualquier manera un estudiante. Lo importante aquí es que esas notas tienen que ser significantes para el estudiante. Obviamente, cuando están un poquito más jóvenes, los maestros pueden dirigir cómo es que quieren que los estudiantes tomen esas notas y está perfectamente bien. Pero ya cuando estén un poquito más mayor y también ya obviamente que sean sus adultos y estén en la universidad, ellos ya van a tomar la libertad de tomar las notas como ellos se les hace más significante para su aprendizaje. Finally, we go on to the next phase, which is what Leilani was referring to, right? Leilani, like this was really important to you, processing the notes.
Yes.
Yes, right, revising and underlining.
That was honestly for me the most important part because personally for me, as I learn, I feel like I learn more if I go back and actually look back to what I wrote. So, okay, we covered this as well. I had forgotten about that. And I go back and underline it just to make sure that I don't forget that part because it's something very important that I might not think, in the moment, just writing it down, okay, this is important. But if I go back and I underline or I circle or I even put a star right next to that idea, it's going to help me remember, okay, this is something important. Regresando a lo que acaba de decir la señora Pardo, este paso para mí fue el más importante porque yo aprendo visualmente, ya sea cuando estoy escribiendo mis apuntes, a lo mejor en el momento no pienso que es algo importante, pero ya cuando regreso otra vez y repaso mis apuntes, se me puede hacer más fácil para recordar, ok, también esto repasamos en la clase y ya con una pluma paso y círculo lo que aprendimos o con un highlighter le paso también para recordarme que ese concepto está ahí y también es importante.
Muy bien. So again, that's just another really important step. It is the one that we do kind of encourage the most, especially during class time with our students, but it's something that we also expect our students to do on their own when they come home and they are looking over their notes. The third phase is really connecting your thinking. This is a really important phase for critical thinking. It's where students get to question and say like, so what does this mean? And how does this connect to what I already know? So it's a part where they get to ask those questions. The thought is their notes will help answer those questions. And if not, those questions are great for a conversation to have with their teachers when they get back into the classroom as well. Entonces, la tercera fase es muy importante porque se trata de conectando esos pensamientos, relacionándolo con otras cosas que quizás ya hayan aprendido. Entonces, en esta fase queremos que nuestros estudiantes realmente hagan preguntas, ¿verdad? Que ellos escriban preguntas, que sus notas quizás los pueda corresponder. Y si no, esas preguntas que ellos hacen pueden ir con sus maestros o maestras y pueden hacerles esas preguntas a ellos. And our fourth phase is summarizing and reflecting. And here is where, they really focus on what did I learn? So sometimes it's a 1 to 2 sentence summary, really capturing the gist of what they learned, as well as questioning, how is this useful? What I learned today, what are my notes? How is this useful to me? So it's really kind of taking that thinking to a deeper level. Y el cuarto fase es realmente los estudiantes los estamos retando otra vez en su forma de pensar, ¿verdad? Tienen que hacer un resumen y también tienen que reflexionar. El resumen puede ser una oración, una o dos oraciones de lo que aprendieron y también reflexionan en cómo esto es algo que me va a ayudar, ¿verdad? Algo que realmente es algo usual para mí. And finally, the last phase is really applying the whole, notes as a learning tool. We're going to use those notes to help us further along our understanding and to really get the grades that we want to get, that we are working so hard towards, because it behaves as an anchor, right? We look at these notes as a way to help us further along. And now that we're in distance learning, it makes all the difference. Often our teachers be like, use your notes. You can use your notes, to go back and finish the project. Use your notes as you're studying for the test or while you're taking this quiz. And so taking notes and being very intentional and interacting with the 5 phases really helps push our students further in their success. Y entonces, lo último aquí es que realmente tienen que usar nuestros estudiantes sus notas, ¿verdad? Sus apuntes en una forma intencional, con el propósito que les ayude, que sea una herramienta de aprendizaje para ellos, especialmente en este ambiente que estamos ahorita, trabajando por el internet. Los maestros les van a decir, usen sus notas para terminar el proyecto, usen sus notas para el examen. Entonces hay mucho valor en que ellos realmente practiquen estas 5 fases con sus notas para que tengan una plataforma que realmente les va a ayudar a sobresalir y sacar las calificaciones que ellos desean. So what Leilani and I are going to do right now, we're going to just hold back a little bit, and we want to show you guys a YouTube video on the 5 phases of focus note taking through the student perspective as well. And so I'm going to get that ready for you guys. I'm going to press pause really quick. And I'm going to make sure that I have the Spanish subtitles on.
This is so you, Mercedes.
Can you hear it? If I put it on. So let me see. Can you guys hear it? Yes?
I think we should share using a different method. Let me.
It could be that maybe I didn't put in like share computer sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take over and
Yeah, I can.
share? Okay, thank you. Sorry
Thanks,
about that,
Nancy.
family.
Mhm.
Thank you for checking.
Yeah, good job.
Let me pause it myself. Okay, can you stop sharing those CDs?
Sure. Done.
How did you do this?
You go to subtitles right there. Good. And then go ahead, go English. And then go to subtitles. And then auto translate.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
And then select Spanish.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, nice assist. This is great.
Okay, let me.
Learning how to take notes well. It shouldn't be notes that someone else can come in and read and just follow along. It should be personalized to your perfection, to your point. It shouldn't be just everything that you see on a board. It shouldn't be everything that a teacher's talking. It should be important details, key details that will help you come back. It's supposed to be our own personalized way of learning how to take notes, learning how to edit notes, learning how to write your summary. And I think that's the beauty that Avid has done. There are so many ways to take notes. Use them all.
What's really important to know about note taking is to set it up however it makes sense to you. Think about what is important to you and think about what will make sense to you when you go back and study.
In math, I like to use the 2-column notes because my math teacher likes to compare and contrast different ways of solving things. In English, it's a lot of 3-column notes because I like to take what the author said, kind of write down what I think he meant, and then why it matters, so the same matter.
Definitely leave space in between your notes and different topics, subjects, to be able to interact with them. You will not be able to write down everything the teacher says if it is your typical lecture, and abbreviation is definitely key.
The way I see it, they're not classified as a resource until you actually go back and look over them, highlight the really important stuff.
Processing notes, what it looks like is going back and revising your notes.
When revising my notes, I really love to have each color stand for a specific importance level.
I will underline what I think is really important. So I kind of like have to rewrite them, just underline and kind of make sure that I have all the important information right there for me.
So I do this weird thing is I'll put boxes around different sections of the notes.
We also have our most important point. That's where we highlight what we think was the most important points of our notes.
Just going back to them is super important because that's where you get your studying, and because if you're not going back, then you're not really studying.
Taking notes well to me means actually being able to understand what you're doing.
So what I usually do is I'll have all my notes in there and all my information, and then if I'm missing a piece or I kind of want to retouch on something, I'll write a question about that information, and that can formulate a POC, and a POC is a point of confusion.
On the little the left hand column, you need to write the Costas questions, so then that could answer your notes, and then you could look at your notes and answer them in the sticky note and say, oh hey, I answered my own questions.
The questioning part, it's like it makes me go back and have a critical thinking point, like, okay, what do I really mean here? What am I supposed to take from that lesson, from that part?
We might do the 5 W's where we do who, what, when, where, and why.
Use your left column. It's so important when you use the left column.
I couldn't get through school without asking questions, because if I'm stuck on something, how am I going to be able to keep going? If I don't ask questions, then I'm not really going to be able to get anywhere.
So you want to try and answer the questions that you have with your notes, so it all comes together and it makes sense to you. When you're writing your summary, you're taking what you have written down, all the questions you've asked yourself, and the essential question, and you're answering it with all the notes you've taken.
In your summary, you're pretty much clarifying in your own words exactly what you just learned about.
Well, it helps me kind of put everything together into one thing, because the notes are kind of answering the EQuad in a way. So when you come back to the summary, you're taking everything that you've learned and putting it into one paragraph.
The summary and reflection part is probably one of the most important parts of the process. Generally proves whether you truly understand what you just wrote down or not.
I use my notes for studying with other people and being able to understand the context of what I'm learning.
I like to use my notes in preparation for philosophical chairs. The notes are used as a guide to help me know what to argue about and how to support my part in the argument.
I use my notes for just it's basically my own personal teacher that I take with me at home. If I'm doing homework and I don't understand something, I go back to my notes. It's a personal tool that you can take. It's almost like a phone. You can go up, look up everything that you need.
In a real life scenario, say you have a client who is giving you all this information and specific details that you'd have to write down and remember and interact with later, so you know exactly what they want.
I think in your hardest classes, if you're taking notes and you take a good set of notes, you know, at the end of that lesson, you're just gonna feel great. When I take a good set of notes and I just go back and look and look and look and like I grind it out, you know, it's a feeling of confidence and self-empowerment that you get from that you just feel like you can do it. Like it's almost like a Superman feeling. And I think that's the beauty about notes is that if you can understand yourself, you're like, okay, like, you know, I don't need anything else. Like I got it.
Thank you. So yes, you know, as you can see, there's so much benefit and so much value in our students taking notes. And now that they're in the home with you, that is something that hopefully you can see as, you know, you're monitoring and supervising your students. Are they taking notes? You know, are they taking notes, handwritten notes, as they're engaging in class sessions throughout the day? They can also be taking digital notes. So if they're not writing them out, maybe your child has a split screen on their monitor, and so they're typing things out as well. And so we know that there's features available on the different digital platforms for them to continue to highlight, for them to circle, for them to underline, so they can still engage and interact. Just as Leilani was sharing, like that revision piece is very, very important. And so now that we know, you know, what students can do, we're going to move on and see, like, well, what can parents do to help support this in the household? Entonces, como acabamos de ver en el video, you know, tomando notas y saber tomar los apuntes en las diferentes clases es muy importante. Y ahorita que están los estudiantes en el hogar, es importante cuando ustedes están supervisando o monitorando a sus hijos, que se den cuenta si están tomando apuntes a mano, ¿verdad? Mientras están escuchando al maestro o la maestra, o si lo están tomando de una forma digital, you know, con su Chromebook y tomándolo en esa forma también. Entonces, ahorita ya vamos a continuar en qué es lo que pueden hacer los papás. Ahorita hemos aprendido qué es lo que deben de hacer los estudiantes para ayudarse ellos mismos, y ahora cómo podemos nosotros los padres ayudarlos también. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Nancy, I know that you probably give me screen share again. So I will move on. There we go. And these are just some of the things that we could do as parents in the household. And some of these things, like people have fun with back to school shopping, right? And so what can parents do? And one of the main things that we can do as parents in the household is just make sure that our students have the supplies that they can work with in order to take notes. So these are some of the things that, you know, we have for our students, which is like, you know, making sure they have those notebooks or notebook paper, the pencils, the pens, the different highlighters, and possibly even Post-its, little stickies for them so that they can add on to their notes that they're taking by hand. Of all of these, Leilani, which ones are your prized possessions of all of these supplies?
My highlighters, definitely my highlighters. I love them. So I have fun just coloring away.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to go and buy them. That's what I enjoy doing the most.
Entonces, estas son algunas cosas que podemos tenerle a nuestros estudiantes en la casa para ayudarlos a tomar esas notas a mano, ¿verdad? Los cuadernos, los lápices, las plumas, y como estaba diciendo Leilani, que los resaltadores, the highlighters de diferentes colores ayudan mucho, ¿verdad? En la forma de que ellos quieran categorizar las diferentes notas que están tomando. Entonces, todo eso les va a ayudar, okay? The second thing that I really would like to point out to parents is this. I do this with my son. He just started high school, and so he was not doing so well. Hopefully he's not listening right now. But he was not doing so well, so I said, hey, where are your notes? And he's like, kind of gave me that look. I'm like, yes, your notes. So he showed me his notes, and there was no date, there was no title, there was no question. And I'm like, so what did you learn? And he just looks at me, he's like, I don't know. I think we get that, right? When we ask our kids, what did you learn today? I don't know. You know, we're like, we know you learned something. So the best thing we can do is like ask for their notes and see what their notes say. If a student doesn't have their notes labeled, I would suggest that we always mark the date, simply because it's a great way for them to keep track and keep organized in terms of what the teacher has talked about on a daily basis. The second thing is making sure that we title the notes. Like, what is it on chapter 1? It can just say chapter 1, you know, and that'll make a connection. Or they can be more specific and say like linear equations, because that's exactly what the teacher was talking about in their math class. Some teachers, in addition to the topic, they also provide what's called a focus question or an essential question for the day. And so that is, if they have that, it's also important to include. So you can see that here on the slide. Those are things that you can coach your student. If they don't have it and you're looking at their notes, just gently remind them, hey, I don't see the date here. Put the date and let me, what's the topic about, so that way I know what you went over with your teacher. Entonces, una de las cosas que les sugiero a nuestros papás en las casas es que cuando le pregunten a sus estudiantes cómo están y cómo les está yendo en las clases, y les dicen, déjame ver tus notas, tus apuntes, a veces nos dan esa carita de que, ¿de qué me estás hablando? Mamá, ¿por qué me preguntas tanto? Pero les tenemos que preguntar, ¿verdad? Para saber que ellos estén encima de sus responsabilidades. Una de las cosas más sencillas que podemos hacer es cuando estamos mirando las notas que tienen nuestros hijos, es revisar que tengan la fecha para darnos cuenta en qué día ellos tomaron esas notas, y también recordarles que tienen que ponerles el título de lo que están, de lo que están estudiando en la clase en ese día. A veces también los maestros seguían con una pregunta, y también si el maestro da esa pregunta, que también ellos lo apunten. Todo eso los va a ayudar a que ellos se mantengan organizados y que sepan realmente qué es lo que estudiaron ese preciso día. Y les va a ayudar también cuando, más adelante, cuando tengan que, estudiar para sus exámenes y regresar a las notas y ver cuáles son las notas que ellos tienen que repasar con más detalle para estar preparados. So by making sure of these little tiny pieces, the date, the title, possibly the question, it's really helping our students stay organized and focused in terms of using their notes as a learning tool, because now they know exactly when they need to go back to, so which notes they need to review to be better prepared for that project or test that's coming along the way. The next things we want to make sure that parents feel good about is really asking your students about their notes and about their learning in class. So the other big thing we can do as parents is do what parents do best, be a little bit nosy. It's okay for us to be that way. Entonces, la tercera cosa que quiero mencionar es que está bien que nosotros, aunque a ellos no les guste que les preguntemos mucho, es quizás una de las cosas más importantes que podamos hacer como padres del hogar, es preguntarles cómo les fue, ¿verdad? ¿Qué aprendieron? Y aquí es cuando ellos, si no quieren decir nada o se quedan calladitos, es cuando los a ver, enséñame esas notas, right? So if we're asking our students these questions and they're staying quiet and they're just kind of giving us that blank little stare, that's a sign to us as parents telling us that we need to dig a little bit deeper and say, hey, well, let me see your notes. And if they don't have those notes, again, work with them on it, encourage them, and have them do this because they know now that you'll be asking questions. And so these are just... Yes, go ahead.
I think it's also a great opportunity because if my mom were to ask me and I see that I missed to highlight this, it's a great way to even do it as she asked me, oh, so what did you learn today? Oh my God, I forgot to highlight right then and there. So it's also it reinforces that topic of, oh my, I need to go back and highlight this, or I just missed it. So as you're showing your parent, the student is also remembering to go back and highlight that part.
Absolutely. So again, they're kind of interacting with those notes again, like you're saying, and it gives them a chance to go back and revise and continue adding to their notes. Yeah, so entonces la señorita Pacheco nos acaba de mencionar que sí es importante que nuestros papás tengan estas conversaciones con nuestros hijos para darles la oportunidad de otra vez repasar las notas y agregarle más ideas que quizás al principio no lo habrían hecho. Y simplemente en ustedes platicar y hacerles estas preguntas les da esa oportunidad de ellos de nuevo de repasarlo de una forma más profunda. One of the key questions here that I'd like to highlight, and then Ms. Rivas is going to go ahead and follow up with, is pretty much the last one. So after we're asking all these questions based on the class and on the notes, what happens, right, if our students don't understand? Which is a great question. Like, what is it that you didn't understand from your notes? What are the resources that we can use to help you understand? And how could you communicate with your teacher when you don't understand something in your class or on your notes? Entonces, una de las preguntas que realmente es importante preguntarle a los estudiantes es, ¿qué es lo que no entiendes de tus notas o qué es lo que no entiendes en tu clase. ¿Qué recursos podemos usar para ayudarte a entender? Y cómo es la mejor manera de comunicarte con tu maestro o tu maestra para que te pueda ayudar a entender tus notas y los temas que están repasando en la clase. So this really helps our students build that sense of what we call self-advocacy. You know, using their words to communicate with adults and peers around them to do some, you know, outreach for help for a chance, you know. So that is something that is very valued within the AVID program, also just in general period, whether you're AVID student or not. But we really, you know, we really encourage our AVID students to build on that sense of self-advocacy and ask for help as needed. And this is a great opportunity for parents to support that, because let's be honest, we don't know all the topics and everything our students are studying, and it's okay not to know. That's why we need to feel comfortable and know exactly how to, the best way of communicating with our teachers, because your teachers are a wealth of support and they're amazing. And they feel a lot of gratitude for you, you know, making these connections between the student and them. So Ms. Rivas will go ahead and share with us what that looks like. Entonces, Ms. Rivas nos va a enseñar ahorita cómo es como los papás cuando ya realmente ya no les podemos ayudar, ¿verdad? Con las notas y no entendemos el tema muy bien. El mejor paso de ahí es los estudiantes comunicarse con sus maestros para que ellos sepan sacar adelante you know, la calificación y saber lo que se está repasando en la clase. Entonces es muy importante que ellos sepan hablar por sí mismos, que se sepan comunicar de una forma clara y plena con sus maestros, y los maestros siempre están muy agradecidos cuando los papás apoyan y ayudan a los estudiantes a mantener esa comunicación con ellos. Entonces, Ms. Rivas nos va a enseñar cómo se puede hacer eso.
Can you, Osiris, you can continue on that next slide. So there is actually two ways for students to message and send a direct message through Schoology email right within the Schoology portal, which we talked about in the past weeks. For students directly in their course in Schoology, they have a tab called the members tab, which I'll show you, and they would just click on the teacher's name and then they would click on the message button. So I'm going to demonstrate that. So actually, yes, I am going to take away this screen sharing.
No problem.
So I'm going to jump right into Schoology, and what students would do is they would go directly into a course. And they would click on that course and they will see a tab labeled members, and they would just click on that tab and they will see their teachers listed. So for instance, if Darrell was my teacher, I would click on Darrell's name. And then on the upper right-hand corner, I will see a message option. So I would just click this message button, and then I can send out a message to that individual. So Schoology has made it very, very easy to send out a message and have that direct communication with teachers. Una de las maneras que los muchachos pueden comunicarse y tener un mensaje directo con su maestro o maestra es por medio de Schoology. En Schoology, en la clase, hay una área donde puede ir el estudiante que se llama Members, y puede buscar a los maestros allí y mandarles mensaje. Y lo voy a demostrar de nuevo. Si el estudiante va a sus clases, escoge la clase donde tiene la pregunta, y va a ver que dice miembros en la mano izquierda, hace clic allí y puede ver a sus maestros que están ahí en la lista, y haría un clic en el nombre del maestro y va a ver un botón que dice mensaje, y solo le hace clic en el botón y le mandaría este mensaje a los maestros. Entonces, Schoology ha hecho bien fácil que puedan tener esa comunicación directa con los maestros. Otro método, or another method, a second method, and this second method that I'm actually going to go over applies both to students and parents within Schoology. For those parents who do have a Schoology account, you would log into Schoology, and right in the Schoology window, you actually have an envelope icon, which I will point out in a second in the top right corner. And you would search for the teacher in order to send that message. So let me jump into, I'm sorry. Let me jump back. So when I log in, and the parent or student can do this, there is an envelope icon here on the upper right-hand corner. And you would click that icon, and there is a new message option. The students would click that option and they would type in the name of the teacher. They do need to know the first name or at least the last name of the teacher so that they could type in and search for that individual, and they can create their message. And like I said, parents also have this option as well. When they go into that Schoology portal, they can actually see that envelope icon in the upper right-hand corner as well. Yes.
I just have a really quick question, sorry to interrupt, but within the within that environment where they're actually editing and typing in a message, what accommodations are there in that space for students who may need other tools such as voice or a way to give a message other than typing?
Excellent question. Let me translate the last part and then I will get to that question.
Sorry.
El señor Jarrell Jackson preguntó qué otras opciones hay si los estudiantes no quieren escribir la pregunta, qué otras opciones hay para mandar un mensaje al maestro. La segunda manera de los estudiantes poder mandar un mensaje a los maestros es cuando ellos entran al sitio de internet de Schoology. Hay una imagen de un sobre pequeño en la mano derecha arriba, y hace clic aquí el estudiante y escoge la opción de nuevo mensaje y escribe el nombre. Tendría que saber el estudiante el primer nombre o el apellido del maestro para buscarlo. Aquí cuando escribo el nombre de Jarrell, me sale el señor Jarrell Jackson. Sé que él es mi maestro, entonces voy a escribir el mensaje aquí en esta área. Y como mencioné, esta opción es para los padres y para los estudiantes. Entonces, usted como padre también puede usar este método para mandar un mensaje. So there are alternative methods within this window, whether you're initiating it using that envelope icon or by the student clicking the name of the teacher in the class and clicking that message button. When this window appears, students have the ability to use some of these tools that are listed down here. So the first one is a file, so they can attach, let's say, a screenshot. Maybe there's something they don't understand. They want to send that over to the teacher. They can attach that. They can send a link. They can pull from their resources. So this is their Google Drive or their OneDrive. And they can also set up an audio video recording. So let's say they want to send an audio message or an audio and video message to their teacher. If they click on that mic icon, it will actually power up the ability to do that right within that message window. So right now it's showing I have a second screen. So the camera is actually pointing at that screen. I'm going to flip my camera so that my front camera is facing. And of course it's not functioning right now, but it would be able to switch the camera over if the student does want to send a video recording of themselves. And then the student would just click start recording and it would create that recording. So we haven't left Schoology, we haven't left that message window. It's recording right now live. Once I hit stop, it obviously stops recording, and then I would be able to insert that recording right into the message and send it over to that teacher. So Schoology makes it easy not only to have that text option for a message or communication, but also having that audio video function as well, right, built in right within the message window. Entonces, quería contestar la pregunta que hizo el señor Jackson. ¿Qué opciones da Schoology cuando están mandando un mensaje? Cuando el estudiante ve esta cajita, tiene diferentes opciones aquí para agregar cosas al mensaje. Puede mandar un archivo con el mensaje, puede mandar un enlace, puede utilizar diferentes archivos de su Google Drive o de OneDrive, pero también este micrófono que está aquí, lo que este micrófono hace es que da la opción para que los estudiantes puedan hacer una grabación de voz o voz con video. Entonces, cuando el estudiante le hace clic ahí, puede mandar audio o audio y video al maestro. Puede hacer ese audio, empieza a grabar presionando el botón y puede parar la grabación. Y acá va a salir el botón que dice que lo agregue al mensaje. Entonces, acá abajo, como ve, el mensaje ahora está ese audio y solo presiona el send y los maestros recibirán ese mensaje. Entonces, hay diferentes opciones, no es solo por medio de escribir. Ese mensaje puede tener esa opción de audio o audio y video. Okay, with that, I'm going to, I believe, hand that back to Osiris. I will stop sharing so that you can continue sharing, Osiris.
All right, so let me just give me a second and I will grab that. All right. So thank you so much, Nancy, for talking us through the whole process of how students and our parents can communicate with our teachers in case they can't make sense of those notes or they have some, a burning question regarding the class that they're taking. Muchísimas gracias a Nancy por habernos explicado en la forma que nos podemos comunicar con nuestros maestros. Si no entendemos nuestras notas que estamos apuntando o si tenemos una pregunta que nos surge de algo que aprendimos en el salón o en la clase. La última cosa que me gustaría platicar es la cuarta cosa que puede hacer los papás. The last thing I'd like to share with everybody is like that fourth piece that you can do as parents. And really, honestly, is to remind and encourage your students to review their notes. So really, it's just like, hey, did you study your notes today? Did you review your notes? Especially when you know that they're getting ready for a test. If they have anything written down in their planners that shares that there's a test coming up. If you as a parent have received some type of remind message from teachers and the different ways they communicate what's due, really reminding our students and encouraging them to review those notes for a couple of minutes. So again, they're feeling a lot more prepared for that test or project. Entonces, finalmente, la última cosa es, de recordarle a los estudiantes, a sus hijos, que repasen estas notas, que los lean, que se den su tiempo de leerlo y de sentirse más preparados porque están haciendo eso al diario, ¿verdad? Lo están repasando al diario y ellos se van a sentir mucho más preparados cuando viene la fecha del examen o cuando ya está algo que ocupan entregar a cierta fecha. And the last piece we want to go ahead and share is those learning environments in your household. So this is something that you may have come across already on your different parent platforms or maybe through even another webinar that our amazing IT team has put together throughout these past couple of months. But when we're thinking about learning environments, these are the three things I really want you guys and our families out there to think of. One is time, the other is location, and the last is agreements. Okay. Entonces, hay tres cosas que me gustaría que los padres de hogar y las familias toman en consideración en cuando nuestros estudiantes están aprendiendo en la casa. La primera es tiempo, la segunda es el local y finalmente agreements, ¿cómo se dice? Agreements, how do you say agreements? Acuerdos. Acuerdos, ok, a veces, discúlpenme, a veces me falla mi español, y tengo que pedir ayuda. Entonces, acuerdos entre los papás y los estudiantes. So, in terms of time, and Leilani, I want you to, share out, because I know that the time management is a big deal, especially for college students, but also just students in general, whether you're in college or high school. Really selecting a time frame where it's leisure time. Leisure time meaning, hey, this is my time to just relax. and have fun. And if I want to watch a cartoon, I'm going to watch a cartoon. And if I want to go play soccer, I want to go play soccer, and it's okay. But that has to be a time that is very both the parent and the student are highly aware of. And then also setting a time for study time, right? Like, okay, from this hour to this hour, we're all going to be doing homework. We're all going to be doing our writing projects, or we're all going to be reviewing those notes, so that everybody understands when that takes place, so that there isn't any confusion. Entonces, una de las cosas es realmente el tiempo, de darles el tiempo a los niños de relajarse. ¿De qué hora es para ellos? Para que jueguen, para que hagan cosas a su gusto, ¿verdad? Y la otra es a qué hora de qué hora van a ellos realmente enfocarse y estudiar y completar sus tareas, completar sus proyectos y repasar esas notas que hemos estado platicando ahora. So Leilani, I'm sorry, can you quickly share like how that has helped you in terms of being a student?
Yeah, to begin with, I just want to say that it's very easy to get sidetracked, especially now behind the computer, because we can think of it as, okay, we'll just close the computer because you don't have no one physically there to tell you, hey, stay on track. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But now that I'm in college, and even when I was finishing up my distance learning in high school, it was just a sort of getting into the habit, because it's easy to get sidetracked being on Zoom and having your phone right next to you, but you have to take responsibility for yourself, because you're not going to get the grade just like that. You have to put in that time and that effort. So I think it's just important of getting into the habit of putting your phone down to the side, and like Ms. Pardo said, just giving yourself that time for every single thing, because there's going to be time for your phone. There's going to be time to go out. There's going to be time to do everything, but you have to prioritize what's most important to you. And that's where it took me a while, I'm not going to lie, but I feel like I have it down. So now I know what comes first. I'm gonna admit I was on my phone on the side and with my computer, but I wasn't really understanding what I was learning. So it took me to understand, like, okay, what did she just say, for me to really get it. And I hate to even say that I was like that, but that's the only way you learn, you know. Como acaba de decir la señora Pardo, es muy importante darle prioridad a lo que de verdad importa. Es muy fácil distraernos, estar detrás de una computadora y también tener el celular al lado, pero no es hasta que algo pasa que nos damos cuenta que le tenemos que dar prioridad, porque es muy fácil estar en el celular y también en la clase, pero hasta que no entendemos lo que el profesor o el maestro acaba de decir, que le tenemos que dedicar ese tiempo. Y para mí nomás ha sido de agarrar más responsabilidad y prioritar. Ese tiempo, y lo vas notando cuando miras sus calificaciones. Si ves que no te fue muy bien en un examen, o si ves que no entiendes muy bien la tarea, y es cuando tienes que darte cuenta de lo que de verdad importa. Así que nomás es cuestión de que el alumno agarre responsabilidad por sí mismo, porque nadie va a estar ahí detrás de él o de ella.
Very true, very true. Thank you, Leilani. The second thing is to really concentrate on a location.
We got about 30 seconds. Of
course. So really looking at the space, your learning space, decide, is that going to be at the kitchen table? Is it going to be in the living room? Is it going to be in the child's bedroom? La otra cosa que queremos que tomen en cuenta es dónde van a estudiar sus hijos. Va a ser en la cocina, en la mesa de la cocina, va a ser va a ser en sus recámaras. Entonces, verdaderamente decir, aquí vamos a estudiar, y así ustedes también pueden supervisar y monitorear mejor. Y finalmente, tener esos acuerdos. Finally, having those agreements. As a child, you have to agree, like, okay, this is not playtime, just as Leilani was sharing, right? I'm not going to be playing games on the computer. I'm not going to be doing my TikTok video dances while I should be studying and reviewing my notes. And parents, you also have agreements. So in other words, when you know your students are studying, it should be uninterrupted time, right? So no asking them to help at that moment to do chores and things of that nature. Entonces, tener esos acuerdos es para los estudiantes, pero también para nuestros papás. Los estudiantes, no jugar en la computadora, no hacer sus videos de TikTok y estar baile y baile cuando tienen que estar estudiando. Y finalmente, para nosotros los papás, estar conscientes que es su hora de estudio, respetarlo y no preguntarles que hagan, quehaceres en la casa y ayudar con la limpieza en ese momento. So these are just a couple of tips. I want to thank Leilani for being here and just giving us her like awesome experience as a student and how this has helped her. And I'm going to hand it back to our amazing IT team. And I just want to thank all the families. I'm here. You can always reach out to me at opardo@paramount.k12.ca.us. Estoy aquí para servirles. Soy su maestra Pardo y estoy aquí cuando ustedes gustan tener preguntas en el futuro. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, Osiris. So I like I said, I think that it was such a privilege, and I was so excited to hear that Osiris was willing to come along and share all these principles of note taking and study skills with you and the families. And I just wanted to emphasize that this is such a powerful program. It really is a structure that for all students to be able to take advantage of.
Gracias al señor Jackson. Quiero dar las gracias a la señora Osiris Pardo por venir y compartir estas diferentes estrategias para el estudio de los estudiantes. Y es un programa bien fenomenal que tenemos aquí con toda esta información para los estudiantes.
And I think that in also when I could just put an emphasis on all students, and this would be also applied for students with special needs and processing challenges as well, that just the absolute structure that the AVID principles and the note-taking structures bring is amazing support for students with special needs, and also to stay organized and to be able to have an anchor and a structure when they go ahead and they move forward in developing their own learning.
El programa de AVID tiene estrategias para todo tipo de estudiante, incluyendo esos estudiantes con necesidades especiales y que tienen dificultad con procesar información. Es una gran sugerencias y estrategias que también ayudan a todo tipo de estudiante.
And I think with that, we want to call it a night. I just also want to really thank Leilani for coming on board. Leilani was great. I think that we're going to have you as guest many, many times in the future if you're willing.
Yes. I'm more than glad to be here.
Thank you, Betty.
Gracias a Leilani también por acompañarnos, y eso es todo por hoy.
And Osiris, thanks again. It was amazing. And Nancy, as always, you are the very, very best. So.
Gracias a Osiris.
Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias.
All right, great job, everyone. That was awesome.
Are we still live?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, it's up to Nancy.